Good morning. This is our daily Astro Tarot. We have some interesting energies as always because we are at a very pivotal time right now. The opening card that we have for today is the King of Swords. This guy is representative of Aquarius energy. Right now we have Saturn over in Aquarius bringing in some kind of limitation and also responsibility in the area that Aquarius is sitting in your chart. Now, Aquarius as a sign is governed by Uranus, which brings in these big changes that are unexpected, that shift things by way of what we see and what we experience. And so when you consider this King of Swords here, he's a fixed air energy. So it's all about stable ideas and the way that we think about things and the way that we see things in a long range view and perspective. And being that this card is governed by Uranus, it's really interesting to me to consider what's going on astrologically right now and where we put the mind. The challenge that we have for today came in as the Moon card. It's often referred to as the dark night of the soul or the 11th hour. It's representing that area of us in our lives that we allow fear and illusions to keep us from walking our path. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of the scene in the Never-Ending Story where the boy is getting ready to walk through those two sphinx, that if he doesn't have a pure heart, he could just get destroyed by the laser beams that shoot out of their eyes. But I think that we're going to get through this. And I say that because the way that we're going to get through the challenge came in as the Hermit. And so what's so interesting to me about these two cards kind of coming in a sequence is that in a lot of ways, I think the Hermit is the person that's up on this peak with their lantern lighting the top of this path. So in this perspective, the Hermit is asking us to withdraw a little bit from society and to look at things in a new way, to start assimilating information and separating the coarser from the finer so that we can get down to the truth of a matter. I think it's so cool that they came in together. The ultimate outcome that we have for today is the Hierophant. Now, this guy talks about social order and also is representative of the sign of Taurus, which, if you've been watching my videos, Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus for the last couple of years and will be for a few more years because it's typically in any sign for a 7-year period. But Uranus is the planet of unavoidable changes. And it's happening in society right now, and it's also affecting our values and our resources. And why this card is so interesting to me that it came in again today is because we have this really big astrological occurrence happening in the next week or so that is ultimately going to change the course of our lives. We're going to have Uranus in a conjunction with the North Node. And we'll also have Mars passing through that space as well. So we have this initiating action that's happening with change in alignment with the North Node. And when we look back historically, any time that the North Node is in a conjunction with Uranus, we experience some kind of technological shift or advancement in society. And so wherever Taurus is in your chart, your personal natal chart, that is likely the area of your life that it's going to show up and create this big change. Now, for me personally, I find this a little daunting because I have Uranus in an opposite sign to where it's placed right now. It's over in Scorpio for myself, for my natal chart. And it's basically going to be in opposition to this Uranus that we have in its placement currently right now. I also have a stellium in my 3rd house. So in a lot of ways, it's going to be influencing me very powerfully. And consider that for me, Taurus is in my 9th house, which represents teaching and sharing of knowledge and big business and travel. And next week, I am going to be teaching at an herbal conference for 4 days, right during the time where Uranus will be conjuncting Mars and the North Node. So I am quite interested in seeing how this is going to affect my life. Now, I have another friend, just as an example to compare, who has their Taurus in their 11th house. And our 11th house is representative of our friendships and our long-range dreams and aims and things like that. And they have been experiencing big shifts to their friendships, like that just destroy the friendships and there's no going back. And I've been reminding them that this is a transit that is, in a lot of ways, asking them to level up and choose the direction that they want to go in, and also the support system that's going to be able to help them get there. So it's very personal in how these planets show up in our own lives. And it's also interesting in how it shows up in the bigger scale, right? In the bigger picture of society at large, or at least I think so. Now, I did pull us 2 more clarifying cards because there's some powerful energies that are showing up today in our Astro Tarot. And the next clarifying card that I got, I will show you, is the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is governed by Jupiter, but it typically represents a big shift and a big change. And so in a lot of ways, it supports what is going on astrologically and what I was just saying. I did pull us an additional card, our final card for clarification, and we got the 3 of Pentacles. This is the Master Craftsman, and it's a very positive card, I believe, based on what we've seen here, because this is the person who rebuilds, and they're rebuilding from a place of vision. And what I gather from this reading that we have today is that we have to be willing to look back historically and understand that big shifts and big changes are part of the lifespan of the collective forever, throughout time. And in a lot of ways, we've felt the rumble of that, right? There is some big shift and some big change coming. And yet, we see that the Hermit, they didn't get obliterated by this tower, right? They got to the top of the mountain so that they could get perspective and they could have an understanding of what the ultimate truth is and get down to the brass tacks of where they feel like they need to show up in the world. And then the clarity that we have is that we're showing up to the world. So perhaps it's a good time as we go through this waning moon, right? Because we quite literally are moving towards a dark moon by way of it being a new moon, and we won't be able to see the sun's reflection on the moon's surface. And during times of waning moons, it's a time to let go of things. And so I ask you to let go of your fears. Hold some space for what is still to be discovered. You know, hold some space for yourself to trust your steps to move you forward. And also know in your truest, deepest sense of your being that we can rebuild whatever happens in society, and that you and I and everyone in our community is a very big part of that. So it's time to pull ourselves in and really work on that vision so that when we go into the new moon and this big shift, we know where to plant our seed. I send you all a good wish, and I hope you are well and staying well, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Mwah.